Here is a simple, straightforward question for you. How much time does it take for you to cover 174 kilometers? Well, that is a tricky question. I mean, this would take a few hours at max if you're traveling between Guwahati and Tezpur. But what if you're traveling to, say, Sikkim? Well, in this case, you cannot be certain. And the 174 kilometer number is the length of the National Highway 10. The Himalayan state has a Himalaya-sized problem, and the truth is that we may not have a solution anytime soon. In this week's episode of Decoded, we are talking about the lifeline of Sikkim, NH10, which is also fighting hard to become the biggest killer in Sikkim. Pursuing for months.
The village of Assam
In the 75th Independence Day,
Yes, we all love the monsoons, the lush greenery around us, the lovely cooling winds, the tea, the sound of rain and the food. Yes, we all love that. And then there is the simple act of traveling in the northeast during the monsoon season, which feels less like a chore and more like a dare. You see, you'll hardly find anyone who sees heavy rains and says, yes, perfect time to go to Sikkim, because the truth is that no one, not even your gods, can assure you that you will reach your destination. Such is the danger level of travelling in NH10 in Sikkim that even when there is no rain around, there is no guarantee that you are safe. I mean, remember the 16 army personnel who lost their lives after an army truck met with an accident in North Sikkim? This was in December 2022. The ill-fated vehicle, part of a convoy, skidded down a steep slope at Zema while negotiating a sharp turn. The reason why we are mentioning this is because there is no other way to put it. Even when the weather is fine, Sikkim is a dangerous place to drive or travel in. These are just some of the accidents that have taken place in Sikkim on the dreaded highway, and believe me, these are just a few and only from the last few years. In 2021, Sikkim recorded the highest road fatality rate in the country despite not having a large share of the road network and registered motor vehicles. It was no coincidence that another mountainous state, Arunachal Pradesh, also featured on the list. The point we are making is rather simple but ominous. In Sikkim, during monsoons, it is now becoming a norm wherein you do not ask when will you reach, but rather if you will reach your destination. And where do we even start about price rises? The moment the roads are blocked, every essential, from vegetables to even regular commodities, become more expensive. And if there is a medical emergency, God bless you indeed. But how did things get so bad? Now there is one thing we know. Landslides are no longer a matter of if, but when and where. Just this year alone, landslides have wreaked havoc in Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura, Arunachal, Nagaland, Manipur and of course Sikkim. There is not one state immune to this, and in Sikkim, where NH10 is the only lifeline, it has become so frequent that by the time one landslide is cleared, there is another one nearby. But while NH10 is bleeding, the truth is that there is not much else one can do to avoid this road. Sure, between two towns maybe, but for trucks that brings in supplies, vehicles that take all the pharma production that happens in Sikkim, there is pretty much no other route. Sikkim CM in an interview recently said that the state loses 100 crore rupees every day when the NH10 is damaged. This is understandable since the state is probably the most popular tourist spot in East and Northeast India, and the state receives millions of tourists each year, which cannot happen if the roads are blocked. But this is how our Northeast has been built, so to speak, that one road is the difference between prosperity and supply crisis. Residents of Tripura and Mizoram too will understand and share the sentiments when we say this. In the Northeast, infrastructure has been built in such a way that lifelines are truly that, which also means that when they are damaged, there is little to save you. First, define fixing. Do you mean clearing landslides quickly or preventing them from happening? If you mean the former, sure, we do that several times a year in multiple locations. If you tell the latter, then you are out of luck. You see, it is easy to blame a party or some recent activity for the increase in landslides, but let us not forget, even back in the 60s, even before Sikkim had become an official part of India, landslides were a major problem. In 1968, torrential rainfall led to more than 20,000 landslides in the Sikkim-Darjeeling belt, leading to the loss of more than 30,000 lives. Sikkim is what one would call the home of the young Himalayas. Himalayas that, believe it or not, are still taking shape. Now throw in things like building concrete buildings at a rapid rate, the never-ending process of building more and more dams on Tista, thereby stopping it from flowing naturally, and then the recent gulf in October 2023, which led to a rise in Tista's levels, the heavy rains, the never-ending encroachments, and you can understand what happens next. At this point, even if it is not raining heavily, you cannot be sure that landslides will not take place. So on one hand, you have stones raining from the skies, and on the other, a river angry at being tamed and flowing above its regular level. Join the two and you have the nightmare that is NH10. Creating temporary diversions or taking an alternative route are mere band-aids to a problem that is now becoming too big for anyone to take control of. National highway means the center will take care of it, right? NHAI? Not that simple. Now the NH, as the name suggests, may be national, but the control of NH is divided. In 2016, the West Bengal government took over the management of the highway that fell in West Bengal, while the Sikkim part went on to the NHIDCL. One alternative is, of course, to bring the entire NH10 under any central agency, a demand which the Sikkim Chief Minister has placed strongly with the Union government. Sikkim Lok Sabha MP Indrahang Subba and Darjeeling Lok Sabha MP Raju Bista have also taken up the matter with the centre. Following the Sikkim government's constant pressing, the Ministry of Roads, Transport and Highways held a high-level coordination meeting at New Delhi in July with the heads of PWD and irrigation departments of both Sikkim and West Bengal governments and concerned agencies regarding NH10. During this meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on June 24, the Sikkim CM also proposed developing a Himalayan railway line between Bakrakot in West Bengal and Rorathang in Sikkim, presenting historical correspondence from 1917 to support this initiative. But for now, in August 2024, the status quo remains. Here is another uncomfortable truth. In the hills, railway work means tunneling and further damaging the already fragile infrastructure and ecosystem in Sikkim. The Himalayan kingdom is facing the mother of all challenges right now on multiple fronts, and we discussed it all in details in a previous episode of Decoded, the link to which is in the description. There is no sustainable future for Sikkim unless we start acknowledging the environment, and if we continue to ignore it, Sikkim's lifeline will also be its death trap.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to East Mojo. For any queries, put them down in the comments section below and press on the bell icon for notifications.